Here's where we are in college football right now.
Another major coaching change in the SEC.
This is the new reality of the SEC, and this is a reality across the sport. And I do not think it's good for the sport as a whole.
This is going to be different because of the money that's going to exchange and the in-conference swap.
If you don't show up or you make more mistakes, you're going to lose. It's very NFL-like. So if they go with the obvious guy again, who is that obvious guy at Auburn?
Well, I guess Athletic Director John Cohen's car didn't start on Sunday.
Got an alternator problem.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze out at Auburn. Official as of this weekend after their 10-3 loss to Kentucky. I'll say that'll about do it. A head coach that's known for developing quarterbacks, coaching quarterbacks, offense. Auburn, his tenure there was anything but. And while some could argue, hey, every coach deserves more time, in Hugh Freeze's case, his time is up at Auburn.
Time's up for sure.
And Chad, they now jump into the mix with some heavyweights across the SEC and the country looking to find their next head coach, which is going to be fascinating to see which program decides to go which path.
So I'm up in Neyland Stadium on Saturday night in Knoxville watching Tennessee completely gag away a game that they absolutely should have won.
Yes.
Should have traded kickers right before the kickoff, and Tennessee would have won that game against Oklahoma.
It's all the pants.
But nonetheless, that was less interesting than looking down at my phone and sharing that score with everyone in the section that was around and showing the 10-3 Kentucky over Auburn at Auburn, and everyone's immediate response was, that'll do it for Hugh Freeze. That's it. He's done either tonight or tomorrow or at some point. He's going to be out at Auburn, and that's what happens the next day after that embarrassing home loss to a Kentucky team, which has, for the most part of this season, been the worst team in the SEC, although they have played better as of late, and they get a big win on the road. Here's where we are in college football right now, and this is a reality across the sport, and I do not think it's good for the sport as a whole until everything gets under control. Either you are still in contention to play for a national championship or your team sucks. That's how fans view their situation. Either we are right there on the verge of a playoff spot, or I don't even want to go to another game because I'm not interested in playing in any bowl game. My team sucks. Fire the coach. That's how fans think nowadays. There is no more middle class. There's no more happy feelings about 8-4 or 7-5. Sure, there's the few programs out there that may feel good about getting to a bowl, but that number is so small. It's either the highest end of the upper class, the CEO of the company that lives in the gated community, or you suck and you're a poverty program because you're not playing for a national championship. Now, Auburn on offense legitimately sucks, and that's why Hugh Freeze is gone. He's an offensive-minded head coach that can't score points and is being led by a defense led by DJ Durkin, who is now the interim coach at Auburn. I just look at that job now, Hutton, and we're going to talk about how this gets in the mix of the carousel of all the other jobs in the SEC. And in years past, Auburn would come open, and it would be the preeminent favorite for they're going to go out and get a great coach. Let's look what they did last time. They flirted with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin turned them down. They went to Hugh Freeze. To me, that was the obvious decision. They're going to bring in a guy who's had success at Liberty, who successfully rehabilitated his scandal, and they're going to bring him over. Why? Because he beat Nick Saban twice at Ole Miss. That's it. That's why Hugh Freeze got this opportunity. He was riding the coattails of winning twice at Ole Miss against the great the great Nick Saban. And that's how he got that job at Auburn. And everyone knew it. And he got there, and he sucked. So if they go with the obvious guy again, who is that obvious guy at Auburn? Is it John Sumrall? Is that going to be enough to appease the fan base? I mean, I'm looking around, and I'm seeing, and I get it, I'm seeing fans spend a ton of money. They're spending more to get into the stadium. They're spending more with their collective. They're just spending. And the moment it goes south, there's very little patience. And Auburn fans want whatever they deem the home run hire to be. And I don't know that they're getting that guy considering the other jobs that are available.
You know what it is? So let's start with the mentality now of the fans. This is the expansion of the college football playoff. If you're in the SEC and you start looking around and you see Indiana and SMU and Boise in the playoff, you're like, where are we? I just ponied up. I'm paying more per ticket now, and I'm paying the NIL tax, all these different things. You're expecting to compete at the highest level in the best conference. But Chad, the obvious choice, I don't know if there is a home run hire anymore, as much as it is, we paid more for this guy than you did. We got him. I mean, it's kind of that way with quarterbacks now. It's like who's going to offer more and who's going to spend more in NIL, and we win the offseason. That to me is the mentality on campus and off, and the expectation with programs now that fans are pissed that they're paying for Hugh Freeze results, but they'll pony up to get the coach that, the college down the street also wants.
Yeah.
Sumrall's a great choice.
Right.
Could be. There are at least results that show him climbing the ladder. But there are others just like him.
Yeah.
But he has a history in recruiting the SEC, and he's played there, and coached there. He lives in Alabama, from Alabama.
Yeah.
All those things work out okay. But, Auburn is a part of the group of the upper class we're talking about that has just jumped into the mix of an off-season carousel that's going to be crazy.
25% of the conference, we're looking at the SEC, 25% of the league, 4 of the 16 schools are without a coach currently. They're looking for a new coach. And get used to this type of churn.
Yeah.
Because there's no, like I said, there's no middle class anymore. I'm at the Tennessee-Oklahoma game Saturday night. I think Tennessee's a good example of that. Tennessee's kind of a middle-class program in the SEC. It turns out that Tennessee's sort of who we thought they were going into the season. They're a team that's likely to go 8-4, 7-5. I think the expectation was probably 8-4 going into the season. I think this team probably finishes 8-4, splitting Florida and Vanderbilt one way or the other at the end of the year with a new quarterback. But let's look at how Tennessee lost those 3 games. Had 8 opportunities to beat Georgia, couldn't close. Had a devastating mistake at the end of the first half that took them out of a game on the road at Alabama. Alabama's not that much better than Tennessee. Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia are very close. Tennessee's better than Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not much worse. They're not as good as Tennessee. Tennessee gagged that game away at home. So they've lost the 3 good teams they've played in a razor-thin margin for victory or defeat. And sometimes it comes down to a kicker. This is the new reality of the SEC. Like, long gone is the time of, we could be bad over here, or we could miss some kicks because ultimately we have better dudes than the other team.
Right.
Everybody's got dudes. Everybody can beat you. Everybody is paying money. This is a professional setting. If you don't show up or you make more mistakes, you're going to lose. It's very NFL-like. And Hutton, I think what we're seeing is the market of fan bases mentally is behind the times. That they're not fully accepting that if a few breaks go against this team, it's going to go bad south. Now, I'm not using Hugh Freeze as an example. He was bad. 15-19 Auburn is bad, however you cut it.
Yeah.
Offense was bad, and he's an offensive guy. He should be fired. But be careful what you wish for. I could make that argument about Brian Kelly and his overall record at LSU. If you're an LSU fan, it can be worse, LSU fans. It can.
No doubt.
It can be better, too, but it can be worse.
Okay, but
Penn State and James Franklin is a be careful what you wish for scenario.
So you mentioned the middle class. I think this coaching carousel will determine the middle class because it's either pony up and keep your coach or watch your coach go to the school that is ready to pay to be above the middle class. And if you're not wanting to invest that type of money in the finance, both as a fan base and a university, you're going to be in that middle tier of the SEC. I think it's going to be the most impactful coaching search carousel that we've seen in the Southeastern Conference because of the shakeup. Now, we saw six coaches move in 2017-18, right after that season. 5 were fired, and 1 left. This is going to be different because of the money that's going to exchange and the in-conference swapping that I think is going to go on. Auburn now joins the SEC powers, LSU and Florida, that are demanding not to stay where they are, right? Like, be careful what you wish for, but, like, this is they feel like this is rock bottom to them.
Yeah.
And so they're like, Middle class be damned. We're ready to go. And so.
And I'm not putting Florida and Auburn in that scenario because their coaches just weren't. They didn't win enough.
Sure.
I mean, there's no way for those programs did they win enough. But I think you could make that case at LSU, at Penn State, some other places, but not with those two. They just weren't good enough.
Yeah, and Brian Kelly, for other reasons, he wasn't a fit, right? But so Auburn's there, and you've got these coaches who either receive extensions in December or buyouts by November. And it's not what's done, what used to be done eventually is now done immediately. Because these teams are trying to find, really, I think, just going back to 2019, the teams that are on the hunt to take the spots of Auburn and LSU and Florida are the ones who made the right hires in 2019. 4 coaches came into the league. You had, and all of them, and all of them would have started with their coach this season. Sam Pittman, hired at Arkansas. Eli Drinkwitz was hired at Missouri in 2019. Lane Kiffin, hired at Ole Miss. And Mike Leach was at Mississippi State.
R.I.P.
Yeah. But so that's, if you want to stay above the threshold of where you are now, address it like this, where all of those are fits for where they were. And of course, it didn't work out for Sam Pittman. But man, did he fit that program. That he embodied Arkansas to me, like that program and what they need, especially when he first took over. Chad, the teams that are the programs on the hunt are who the hunted need to mimic right now. And they don't have to go hire, the flash and the highest paid coach in the country. That's what they're going to end up doing. And everyone else is going to get a raise too. But I think the middle class is determined by who ponies up and who doesn't. Auburn says they're going to. They just told us. Florida, yes. LSU, absolutely. We'll see what happens with Arkansas. But I don't put Arkansas in that tier as much as I will Ole Miss, Missouri. Some of these programs that have to turn around and go, we want you to stay right here. Nebraska just did it. Indiana certainly did it. Now it's the SEC's turn. And I think this is the most impactful because I do think it separates the different classes of expectation.
And Nebraska just did it for a coach who does not have a single AP top 25 win at his last 2 college stops. At Baylor or Nebraska now in year 3.
Isn't it telling, though, that they were worried that bio
and I get it because of the whole connection with his college teammate at Penn State and him playing at Penn State and all of that. But someone's got to get flexible in the current day and time and say, we're not the program that's going to go spend top dollar for a coach right now. Now, if you're Auburn, if you are a high dollar alum booster of Auburn or LSU, you are getting taxed like crazy right now, and you're getting hit up for donations to pay for a coach who sucks, to pay a buyout. Help with this buyout so we can go hire the next guy. Help. At some point, one of these programs, Clark Lea has done it a very different way at Vanderbilt, right? Can you replicate that Vanderbilt style somewhere else? And I'm not saying Clark Lea's not making a lot of money. I think he is, and I think he will, whether it's at Vanderbilt or somewhere else. But is someone going to say, I'm going to go get the young, hungry coach that can bring in a veteran staff and spend a little bit more on the staff but less on the coach with an idea and a plan to invest more back into the roster and then get it going that way instead of, I'm just going to go either get 4 or 5 guys a raise at their current job because they're going to flirt with me or overspend in a paid to fail buyout structure that if this guy doesn't work out, I'm back on the hook for $50 million again 3 or 4 years from now. I don't know if anybody's going to have the balls to do it, but I'm curious to see how this cycle shakes out, Hutton, because there's still a job like Arkansas out there, right? Virginia Tech, I know, is down the line a little bit with James Franklin, it looks like. But there are these other jobs that someone's going to have the opportunity to break the mold. I don't think it's going to be at Auburn or LSU or Florida even, but someone's going to have the opportunity. They're going to do it.
You know what? This is another telling sign that we're in a different era. These programs aren't just going to go and poach Nick Saban's coaching staff. That's well beyond the era that we're entering now. So, like, it's not that easy anymore, where you can just reach out to the best program in the country and say, we want this guy or that guy. We want your OC. You want your defensive coordinator. That time has passed. So maybe you do reach for the younger, energetic coach. But you're also spending a ton of money in recruiting, and you want results immediately.
Yeah.
And can those guys pick up the slack that's been left by the coach that's on his way out the door? I mean, since that 2019 hiring cycle with Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin, Sam Pittman, and Eli Drinkwitz, Auburn's had 3 changes since 2019. Florida's had 2, and LSU won a damn title. They've had 2 changes. I mean, so, yeah, be careful what you wish for, but also, I mean, they're hiring to win, not just get into college football playoff, but to win it, right? There's a different mentality with that, and so will Missouri and Ole Miss and others step up and keep their coach, just like we saw with programs outside of the SEC. I'm fascinated to see how much they're going to pony up because you're already seeing Lashley. Lashley's
he's locked up now at SMU.
He's locked up, and he's going to be a top 10 paid coach.
Thankful to him for my wrong team favorite, by the way.
Well
Thank
done.
you, SMU. Good job.
What an unbelievable game and how that finished, by the way, with Miami.
Well, how pissed are you if you're a Miami fan after those 2 games they won early? And then you look at the rest of the schedule thinking, man, this can be a college football.
Just the way they lost.
2 losses now.
Some crazy calls this weekend, too. But I think if Lashley's going to be a top 10 paid coach, that's as of today, because he's not for very long. Because there's some other coaches that are about to get big raises and bump him down a notch. Because right now the threshold's $10 million a year to be top 10. That's Belichick at number 10.
Yeah.
Those guys will be like top 20 within a matter of about a month.
Well, and it's so much perception. It's how you're perceived within the conference that you're in, or nationally, or within your own fan base, and just how quickly it all turns, and just the lack of patience overall. Because the Auburn's a good example. That Auburn roster is not cheap.
No, it's
Some
not.
of the guys they have on that team
bad.
are getting paid a lot. How do you allocate money to a roster? A quarterback in the future is going to be a great example of this. Are you going to go spend $1.5 to $2 million on a freshman who may not play, or a freshman who may not be great at the college level? Or are you just going to sit back and go the Diego Pavia route and say, I'm going to go get the best mid-major guy, pay him $2.5 million for a year or 2, and then roll with that guy? Because I've seen him play in college already. He's 23 years old when we get him. I'm not going to pay a guy to sit on the bench, even though he's a 5-star prospect. So where do those guys end up? What program will pay the money for a guy maybe to sit? What program is going to go the Michigan route and say, well, we're paying this guy because we think he's a generational talent, and Bryce Under, we'll pay him $3.5–4 million, and we'll start him right away. We're going to start the clock immediately. He's going to start as an 18-year-old. But is starting an 18-year-old the best route to go if you want to win big in college football? There are so many questions that we don't know the answers to. The only thing I know the answer to the question of, does there need to be better regulation in college football? The answer is yes. There needs to be a better rule book for how these things are done, and to make it more of a legitimate semi-pro operation that have contractual rules about not moving freely within the conference. Maybe the Big Ten and the SEC collectively bargain together at some point. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and right now it's tough to be excited if you're a program that's not playing for the college football playoff, and everyone's sitting around looking, saying, well, I want to be one of those programs, and if I'm not, even if I'm pretty good and pretty consistent, get rid of the coach. That's the mindset of the fans right now.
Chad, you want a preview for what I'm going to bring up tomorrow?
Yes.
The forgotten
coach. I love
coach.
A good preview.
You had the forgotten coach in Matt Rule, right, last week. The forgotten coach now is Pat Fitzgerald. He settled the lawsuit in August of this year. What's he up to? He's like assisting with a high school team right now. That dude found results, and you better believe he's coming in hot. There are some programs that would, to me, make a lot of sense with. I'm going to deep dive on that coming up.
I think that's a great one. And
I haven't thought about him in a long time.
I mean, how much sense does that make for Penn State?
Penn State. Hell,
Arkansas. Yeah.
Let me throw another one. If Kentucky jumps in the mix, Kentucky, I mean, again, like just the mentality of the program versus, how success is measured. Northwestern, he did great things.
So Jeremy Pruitt just got a job. I don't know. This kind of slipped under the radar on Friday. He's now an analyst at Jacksonville State, but he appealed to the NCAA, and they allowed him to break his 6-year show cause to take this job. Or I think it's like right at the end of it, but everything's fine. He just can't talk to recruits on campus or something like that, or have any interaction with them as an analyst, which analysts don't anyways. They're not supposed to. I say that to say, like, is there anybody who's truly untouchable? Bobby Petrino is auditioning for the job again at Arkansas. Is someone going to hire Art Briles as their offensive coordinator? Like, people say, oh, Art Briles, you can't. Really? In today's college football world, especially for a Jeremy Pruitt, who what he was doing is 100% legal 6 months later after he did it, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think there's anyone that's off the board for someone based on past behavior.
We'll dive in with more of this coming up with Trey Wallace here on Hot Mic. This episode of Hot Mic brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. Prize Picks, the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and you can turn your sports opinions into real money on Prize Picks. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account all football season. And they offer injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half, doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. Download the app today. Use the code HOTMIC, HOTMIC. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HOTMIC, $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Trey Wallace next.
Football's finally back. So's the hard-hitting gridiron action on Prize Picks. Download Prize Picks and use code OutKick and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
6th and Peabody, our location. Yeehaw Beer, Old Smoky Moonshot, Hot Mic, Hunter Withrow here at OutKick.com. Let's just say this. This is, it's always a busy time of year for Trey Wallace. But there is no off time, right? There's no downtime. With all the coaching moves, the carousel, every weekend there has been craziness, and he's been on top of it at OutKick.com. Trey, what's up, man? Hope things are well.
Yeah, I'm good. Running on about 2 hours, and look forward to taking my first off day in about 2 months. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I'm sure somebody will get fired. So no, it's all good.
So did Auburn want to keep Freeze through the year? What and did Kentucky happen, or was this in the mix anyway?
Well, this was in the mix anyways. You had enough influential people around the program, boosters and whatnot, guys that provide NIL funds, and also John Cohen, and we all remember the reference now, the car, if it doesn't start reference.
Right.
The Arkansas gave him a week. That's what happened. I was told that they were going to move on from Hugh Freeze no matter what. And if that came before the Mercer game, heading into Alabama, or after the season, a move was going to be made. So, I prefaced this on Thursday. I mean, Friday when they benched Jackson Arnold, went to Ashton Daniels, said, this is the biggest game. This is it for Hugh Freeze. Like, you lose this, it's a wrap. And then at the same time, you might have given Kentucky, you probably spared them from having to spend $38 million on Mark Stoops. So, yeah, this was going down at Auburn. And I think John Cohen finally had the ammunition needed to make that move on Sunday.
So what does this win do for Stoops?
I think it buys him a little bit of time. I'm not saying that Mark Stoops would not potentially move on to another school or find a way to figure out a negotiated buyout after the season, but it wasn't as if it was going to happen on Sunday. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you watched post-game, and there's a couple videos out there, I haven't seen an athletic director hug their head coach like that in a very long time, and that was Mitch Barnhart to Mark Stoops. So, thank God I didn't have to spend $38 million this weekend type of deal. So, yeah, I do think, Kentucky's in a spot where if they feel like, and if there's a hint that they could potentially land a coach that's worthy enough with everything else going on in college football, then sure, you can make a move. But also at the same time, Hut, just to come around and answer the whole thing, would it be the worst thing in the world to punt this year and come back next year? I'm just saying, look at the landscape of the sport right now.
Well, and will anybody's patience pay off for them? Right? Because we've had two scenarios now where Auburn fans are saying, should have fired Hugh Freeze after last year. Florida fans are saying, should have fired Billy Napier after last year, knowing what you knew about him and the program, deep down. That's what I think ADs and fans need to see is, you can preach patience all you want and everybody's good now and you're going to lose close games and yada, yada, yada. But until an AD actually sticks with their guy, maybe 1 year after everyone thinks they should be fired and they get better, they come back and they exceed expectations the next year. We got to see that to believe it, right? If Mark Stoops comes back and Kentucky's competitive in the SEC again next year, we will applaud Mitch Barnhart and say, way not to jump in the fray last year. Good job. But Trey, if they start 1-4, everybody's going to say, what the hell are you doing? Why are you subjecting your fans to another season of this?
Yeah, and the interesting part about that is if Kentucky would have made a move after last season, they probably could have landed John Sumrall from Tulane. Now, John Sumrall is going to be in the mix of, okay, whatever happens with Ole Miss, with Lane Kiffin, if he decides to dip out, would LSU go down that road if maybe one or two candidates don't look? And by the way, Auburn's open now, and I think that would be the perfect spot for John Sumrall. Now, I have another name that I think would be better than John Sumrall at Auburn, but I'm just saying Kentucky's in that spot where you might end up getting left behind and you might have to go find yourself an OC or DC that would potentially turn the program around. So, yeah, it's a risk, Chad. I don't know if they're going to be willing to take it. We're going to find out.
Who's the other name at Auburn that you like for that job?
Mr. Dabo Swinney at Clemson. Just coming off last weekend, guys, and I'm kind of giving it away, an article that'll drop later today.
It's weird to say, though. Isn't that a tough sell to Auburn right now, unless he just completely rewires his thinking in this current age of college football? I don't know how I get excited if I'm an Auburn fan unless he's saying, I've seen the error of my ways and I'm going to change a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the case. But also you could say, hey, guys, at Auburn, go handle the portal for me. Go handle NIL. Go do this, and this. Find me the roster. Like, we started to see him come around to this a little bit. He did add some transfer portal additions. Sure, he would have to change some of his ways. But, man, he looks like a coach that is, one, either ready for the AD to fire him after his comments on Saturday, which, he was kind of prefacing his joking around, but really him and his AD, Graham Neff, are not getting along at the moment because he wants staff changes, and Dabo is probably not going to be willing to make all of these type of changes that they want. And at the same time, nobody is going to suffice Auburn fans. Auburn fans are going to be agitated either way. Like, there's going to be half the fan base is not excited about whoever the next coach is. Like, just period. Besides, and by the way, when Kiffin made his decision and stayed, okay, well, that ship has sailed. Like, who at Auburn would make sense and excite the fan base? There's not a lot of coaches out there who would be willing to take that job right now that would excite the base. So I'm just saying, I think Dabo Swinney, if he is looking to reset the clock, and my goodness, his comments lately have kind of hinted towards that, I think Auburn would actually be the perfect spot for him.
So if Rhett Lashley is going to get the raise during Ray's season from SMU, currently they say he's going to be a top 10 paid coach for now, before everyone else gets their money, right? What's Ole Miss prepared to do? What is Missouri prepared to do? We haven't heard much about Missouri and what they're going to do with Eli Drinkwitz. Are they going to just beat the mark here, or are these two programs just going to let the rumors continue to swirl and not lock up their coach that everyone wants, apparently?
The problem is Ole Miss can only do so much. Ole Miss has a contract in front of Jimmy Sexton right now and Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin knows there's a contract that he can sign tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he would have his 5-year extension at Ole Miss. He's not signing it right now. So we're going to be in this situation for the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, depending on how Ole Miss's season goes. So That part's out there. Keith Carter is doing what he has to do to try to lock down a coach. As for Missouri, sure, they're going to come back and offer Eli Drinkwitz some more money. But at the same time, if you have a job like, let's just say Florida, were to pursue him, and he is the betting favorite right now, according to a couple of different websites. And I've spoken to folks at Florida. Yes, they would be very interested in Eli Drinkwitz, but are you going to make that jump? Is that something that excites you? Can you go down? And there's also like a scenario here too, where if you take the LSU or Florida job,
right,
you better be in the college football playoff within 2 to 3 years. Okay.
Sure.
That's a job where you got to go and make
1 to 2.
I think you get a little bit, I think you get more grace at a school like Auburn. I think that Auburn says, okay, yeah, this is going to be a 3-year.
They've had more changes than Florida and LSU.
I think it's all relative to how much that once those numbers are out there about how much you're spending on your roster, all expectations are going to go through the roof, right? Everybody's going to start looking more at what did they spend on their roster versus this roster. Okay, if you don't win, then it's the coach's fault, and the coach needs to be held responsible, and let's go get a better coach, and then go win that way, right? Like I look at South Carolina this year, Trey. That's to me a scenario where I think patience would be the prudent move. That would be wise to just say we're going to reinvest in this roster, and Shane Beamer's been good before. He'll be good again. We'll give him a mulligan on this terrible year with Lenora Sellers and everyone else, right? But are they going to do that? Or are they going to pull the trigger quickly and say, no, we got to rush out and get the next guy so we can start giving him bukus of cash?
Yeah, but the problem is who would be that next guy at South Carolina? And you're kind of insinuating here, and who would be that guy at Kentucky? Who's going to be that guy at Auburn? My biggest thing is, I want to make this very, very clear. When I say CFP, I mean be in the conversation. I've always said this. Guys, you've heard this numerous times over the last 4 to 5 years me and you've been together. Be in playoff contention come the first week of November. And that means be ranked in the top 20, top 22. Be in there where a couple of moves can put you into that spot. I'm not talking about be the 8th team in the country with an undefeated record or maybe one loss. Be in contention. I said that about Jimbo. That's when they decided to make the move. And now we look at the Auburn, the Florida, the LSU situation. If they were in contention, meaning they were at least a top 25, top 20 team, you wouldn't have seen those schools make a move right now. So I just want to make that clear when I'm talking about expectations for these schools moving forward. Absolutely, LSU and Florida should be right there in the mix. But for an Auburn situation, just get back in contention. That's the biggest thing that stands out to me.
So let's mention Clark Lea in this too. Well, I failed to mention Vanderbilt in the conversation, but they also are about to pony up if they want to keep Clark Lea.
And there's a lot of talk about Penn State and LSU with Clark Lea.
Yep. And they have said that they want to lock him down, right? But again, like you're saying with Kiffin, Matt Rule signed the contract, signed the extension. Will these guys do that, the SEC?
There have been some rumblings that Vanderbilt might have come at Clark Lea a little bit short of what expectations for a contract would have been, an extension at Vanderbilt. I'm just saying, I've talked to most people about that. I do think Vanderbilt comes back, offers them. You know how this thing goes, guys. It's a negotiation. You're trying to get the most out of this. Okay, so I'm not trying to put anybody on any spot here. But I think Clark Lea would be very, very, very wise to field maybe an interview request or two over the next 6-7 weeks after the season's over.
It helps
after
his agent.
the season's over. And help his agent, who was, by the way, at the Missouri game 2 weeks ago, and I saw him give Jimmy Sexton a big old hug following that win. So I'm just implying here that if Vanderbilt is only willing, if Vanderbilt's only willing to pay, let's say, $6 million, and by the way, that's a bump for Clark Lea, but you've got other schools out here saying, hey man, we'll offer you 8.5, I'll offer you 9.
You got to go higher than that. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to go higher than that.
He'll also be the lowest paid coach of the SEC.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's what I'm getting at. Vanderbilt, look, if they're going to continue this, and if they want to find themselves a 5-star quarterback, and they want to handle the transfer portal and whatnot, you got to pay your coach top-end salary in the SEC. I'm not talking Kirby Smart salary, but don't come back to Clark Lea and offer him $6.5 million and think that's a nice, subtle compliment to him. It's really not.
He could also be on the verge of the top 25, 2 out of every 3 years.
Yeah.
And get a lifetime contract at Vanderbilt. Like that is one where this is not me belittling Vanderbilt, but like Auburn, I think Auburn fans should be thrilled to be a top 25 team. To me, that would be the expectation. I don't care if you're 23rd, 24th, be on the fringe of the top 25. But the problem is, Trey, every single SEC team can argue we should be a top 25 program every single year. Well, not everyone can be that, right? You're not going to have all 16 teams occupy 16 of the 25 spots in the top 25 every year, so someone's not going to be there. If Vandy's hovering around that, I'm not even talking playoff like they are this year in that conversation. If they're hovering around the top 25, 30, 35 teams in the country, it's a lifetime contract for Clark Lea. Yes. He can do whatever he wants and leave whenever he wants or stay for the rest of his career.
Right, exactly. And it's the conversation that we've had in the past. Is this as good as it gets? Well, it can stay that way. You can be in the top 25 conversation on a yearly basis at Vanderbilt. And then like this year, where you go to Texas, sure, you don't play good until the final 7-8 minutes of the game, but that loss looks a hell of a lot better right now than it could have been and where that game was going. So, and by the way, you're still in CFP contention. If you win out, there's an opportunity for you to have a playoff spot. I know Texas fans want to sit here and shit on Vanderbilt, but excuse me, you guys were down 17 points to Mississippi State and had to come back from the dead to beat them. So why are you knocking Vanderbilt from coming back in the dead in the fourth quarter and making it a close game? Like the Texas fans are talking out of their ass over the last week, and especially this last weekend. And I'm not here for it. Like, don't diminish Vanderbilt. You just beat them. You need them to win out to make you look good. So I'm just saying, yes, to get you to your point, top 25 yearly basis, that could work for the Doors. Now go pay your damn coach.
They had a shot at recovering that onside kick.
Yeah.
And going down and tying that game.
I understand.
What an insane comeback.
I understand loosen up the coverage a little bit if you're Texas, but I mean,
that's insane.
At what point do you adjust that they're throwing for 17 yards to Eli Stowers right over the middle every single play?
All of a sudden, you don't sack Pavia.
Yeah, well, let's just give a 5 safety high look and just let them throw it for 15 yards all the way down the field. It was really wild.
But don't worry, guys. Texas got conservative, and that's why Vanderbilt made that absolute run that they did.
34-16 4 minutes left.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, they did.
I do agree with that. But at some point, when you're only up 8 or 10 points with a couple of minutes left, you put your foot back on the pedal and you end it. Vanderbilt had a chance to win it.
It was a horrible close for Texas in that game. No doubt.
Yeah.
And a furious rally by Vandy.
And then there's always somehow a great close to a game by Georgia. I mean, the call goes in their favor once again.
This is where that's a great example too with Georgia. Like, this is where you see how great of a coach Kirby Smart is.
Yeah.
And I know that he's gotten breaks this year, but it's not when they're dominating everybody's ass and they've got more NFL talent than everyone. It's a year like this where they're just as talented as about half the opponents on their schedule, and they're finding these ways to win these super close games, and he's having to do it with winning the coaching matchup in a lot of these games, right? I mean, this is where we see the greatness of Kirby Smart to me.
It's been fascinating to see how they're actually closing out these games and winning. A 36-yard touchdown run, Johnson Bowen. They win it for them. The catch. Like, we could sit here and argue all day whether or not that was a catch for Florida. Like, okay,
looked like one.
The argument doesn't happen if freaking DJ Lagway hits him in stride because the receiver's 20 yards away from the nearest defensive back. But that's another story. I think what Kirby Smart has been able to do is he's used his brain to figure out these endings. Like, his coaching staff have found different ways to beat these squads. I think we both can all agree here that was going to be a difficult game for the Bulldogs. The cocktail party's always tough. That's a hard-nosed rivalry, but you're finding ways to win. And to me, this is going to be very, very fascinating in 2 weeks. And I'm not trying to look ahead from Mississippi State, so please don't come at me, Bulldog fans. I know you host Georgia this weekend in Starkville, and good luck to you. Jeff Lebby got to win Arkansas.
They could win that game, by the way.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But that matchup in 2 weeks, boys, when Arch Manning and Texas comes to Athens, oh, goodness. That's going to be potentially – is that a playoff eliminator game?
It could be.
Georgia with 2 losses.
One of those teams leaves with a second loss. Unless one of them, fails to win this upcoming week.
Right. So I'm not trying to jump ahead to that weekend, but I'm just saying, like, if Kirby Smart can continue this little run that he's on right now, man, it's been fascinating.
Georgia just a 7.5-point favorite at Mississippi State on Saturday.
Trey, let's pick this up whenever we have the podcast.
Yeah, you mean I guess you want to talk about all the Tennessee fans that want to fire Josh Heupel after the game this past week?
And I know it's a very loud minority of Tennessee fans, but I've heard that from people that I know and like also. And now is not the time for that talk. Now we can have the discussion on the podcast about what do you adjust, tweak a little bit. And some of it is, players got to make plays. A kicker's got to make a kick. A freshman tight end needs to catch the football on a wide open 4th and 1 and not get tripped up. And there's a lot of things you could point to, but is Josh Heupel willing to adjust, tweak enough to get this thing from, middle class to upper class again in the SEC? That's a question we can talk about on the podcast. And I don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer to that.
To kind of end it, and I'm not trying to take a shot at Tim Banks here, the defensive coordinator, but
defense actually played well on Saturday for the first time in a while.
That's kind of what I'm getting at here, is that 1 week it goes this way, the next week it goes this way when it comes to these losses. So, no, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that on the roundtable this week, and I'm sure plenty of other discussions.
You know what's amazing about all this? This is just in general, not just the Tennessee thing. Tennessee's got by far the youngest, most freshman-heavy roster in the SEC. And Vanderbilt's got the old team in the SEC. You know what you don't hear a bit of? Anyone talk about that anymore. And I don't either. No. Why? Because I don't know which freshmen are coming back to Tennessee and who's going to be back in the – you know what I mean? Like, think of 10 years ago, Trey. Everyone would be ecstatic because they're like, oh, my gosh, Tennessee's going to get all their offensive players back a year from now, except for maybe one or two. They got these freshmen and linebacker in the secondary. This team is building to something great. And now we look at it and say, well, that sounds good now, but where are all these freshmen going to transfer to at the end of the year? Who knows what the roster is going to look like next year?
Tennessee, the only 3-loss team that's in the top 25.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, and by the way, you don't even know who your damn quarterback is next year. Like from year to year, everything changes in college athletics. Like, so
sure. That's every team.
That's every team. No.
Yeah.
Every team.
I just found that little tidbit interesting that much like APR scores we don't hear about or people being academically eligible for bowl games, we also don't hear about, but we're young.
I have a theory.
No one ever says that. We're just so young.
Trey, remember this for me tomorrow whenever we record, if you don't mind. I have a theory on why Tennessee fans are where they are mentally. Some are where they are with Heupel.
Yeah, it's called PTSD. I know exactly. I know that. I know.
That's a good. That is what we call in the business, Trey, a tease.
Yeah, just remind
me.
That
was a tease from Hutton.
It's a measuring tease.
I know what he was doing, and I'm going to set him up on Tuesday. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right, Trey. Hey, great work this weekend, and all the coverage of all the coaching carousel and the games as well.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful week. I appreciate it.
All right, his phone's probably ringing right now.
Yeah.
There's Trey Wallace, OutKick.com.
Tennessee's lost 3 close games to really the 3 best teams they played by a lot. And that was the first one I left the game, Hutton, though, thinking they're quite a bit better than Oklahoma, and they choked it away. That loss is squarely on Tennessee with the turnovers, the missed kick. Hats off to the Oklahoma kid who hit a 2 55-yarders and a 51-yarder.
Yeah.
But, that is one.
That turnover.
I can't say that about Georgia and Bama because I think Georgia and Bama might be a little bit better or at least equally as good. But the Oklahoma game is a huge missed opportunity.
I think that end of the half turnover would have happened right in front of you, right?
Yeah, that was the seat.
That turnover and then the field goal right before half, that's the game.
Huge swing.
What an awful
And that place
decision.
was dead at halftime with that swing right before the half.
Yeah.
And that was, what do we say before the year on Joey Aguilar?
Well, I mean,
he's going to lose a game because he's going to throw a stupid pick.
That's right.
And he threw 2 of them.
Yeah,
2 stupid picks on Saturday night.
Nobody's talking about Joey football right now. But again,
he threw for 400 yards also. That's the good part of it. That's you're going to get the good and the bad.
Yeah, and the way they started, it looked like they were going to rock and roll.
Well, it should be going up 14-0, and then the fumble and the return and.
Hats off to Oklahoma for
that is the difference between ultimate victory and your fans want your coach fired in this conference.
Yeah,
or plays like that.
Speaking of coach and fired, Dabo continues to talk about this.
It's almost like he's willing it into existence.
We discuss it next here on Hot Mic.
Football's finally back. So's the hard-hitting gridiron action on Prize Picks. Download Prize Picks and use code OutKick and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
And there were some rough calls this weekend across college football with review and without. There were a lot of calls, quote unquote, upheld that I'm just like, what? How?
I don't even know what. Before I would be so sure of myself, knowing, they're going to overturn this or they're not here, and now I'm thinking I don't know what is anything based on the officiating in college football.
So Duke beats Clemson by 1. They go for 2 and win, and a bad pass interference call extended the game in the fourth quarter, and now Dabo's 3-5, and he gets fined by the conference for this.
Some critical penalties. I don't even really know what to say about the last call. I mean, y'all saw it. It shouldn't come down to that. We had plenty of opportunities to win the game, but that's one of the worst calls I've ever seen in a game ever in my entire coaching career, ever. In a situation like that, I don't really know what else to say. But I don't want to make that a deal because we should have won the game.
Should have won the game. Yes, absolutely.
I don't mind anything he said.
I don't either. But I also agree with him on this call. Like, it's not the worst call I've ever seen. But should it have it's a fourth down that moves the ball from, I think, the 47 up to – no, am I thinking about the Miami game? There were so many bad calls.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with some.
It's tough to keep them straight.
All I know is that they're 3-5. And
preseason top 5 team.
And Chad, I have them as my national champ. I have them as my national champ.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing just talent back. That their defense should be way better. I'm looking at this going, man, what's up with the program? And then you hear Dabo saying what he's saying about, well, the AD's back here. Who knows? He may decide to fire me. I can't say I blame him. And I'm like, this is continuing on a weekly basis to where the joke becomes kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, he's almost daring them to fire him, but he's like my boss. Actually, Dabo's the boss. If he's saying that right in front of his AD, where there's smoke, there's fire. He's creating it, and I mean, it's like the unfireable coach wants to be fired instead of just like bouncing and retiring, and then coming out of retirement the way Urban would do. It's weird, Chad. I don't know how to describe it other than Dabo has always been kind of quirky. Not kind of, he is. This is just weird with how on a weekly basis when they lose a game, he's like, "Oh, go ahead and fire me," or he's talking to fans. Last year, it's just it's a recurring, nonstop. He's on repeat every week with the begging.
Yeah. So he was interim head coach in 2008.
Okay.
That was Philip Fulmer's last year in Knoxville. He took over the same year Lane Kiffin started at Tennessee in 2009. That's how long he's been there. I mean, he's going on, getting close to 2 decades in the job. I just believe sometimes people just need a break from each other. Like, I watch Dabo and Clemson right now, and Dabo sounds like a guy who needs a break from that program. The program, I'm sure, is looking at Dabo saying, man, we need to just cut ties or take a 6-month siesta or go on a European cruise or something. I think the players play that way, like they need a break from it. And from Dabo also. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this may actually be one where Dabo, at 55, still a young guy, in coaching, may need a fresh start. It's kind of the Calipari effect at Kentucky. Those two sides needed a break, and Calipari's now at Arkansas, and they're very good. I could see Dabo Swinney going somewhere and winning again and doing a good job if he tweaks some things with his system and how he evaluates the current structure of college football. Now, I'll also say, though, Hutton, because Trey brought this up with Auburn, I don't know if you're doing backflips right now to hire Dabo Swinney if you're one of these top SEC jobs.
Well,
I mean, are you thrilled if you're Arkansas and you can hire Dabo Swinney the way Arkansas basketball hired John Calipari? Yeah, I think you are. But
I mean, if Dabo Swinney is available, the line is to me, it's long to bring him in.
He won a national title just 7 years ago.
I mean,
it's not ancient history that he's a 2-time national championship winning coach.
And with like it or not, the guy can recruit.
Yeah.
I mean, the down year where everyone's shitting on him right now, that's fair. I mean, the results are the results after what he said about recruiting and NIL. He's got to buy into that. If he does, even if he's 50% in, he will do a great job because his coaches follow him. They stay with him. The players stay. That's also weird in today's era. Is how he's kept it to this level, and now we're seeing we're seeing it tip over.
He's built a very good family type atmosphere within the program. I think he does a good job of that culture building with that. It just is not working this year. And again, it looks like all sides need a break from each other.
I totally agree. And I don't think
it could just be the season ending and getting a bit of a break also.
Maybe,
and then they come back fresh next year.
But Duke is the one that paid $4 million for the quarterback, right?
Yeah, Darian Mensah.
And all of a sudden
they don't have a great return on investment on that either.
But I'm saying they're winning at Memorial Stadium for the first time since 80 or 86.
Yeah. I think they're 5-4 after that win.
Yeah.
So they're right there, similar record going into it as Clemson.
As we wrap up, the whole, I was wrong. YouTube and ESPN, YouTube TV, they continue to have this stalemate. My theory is ESPN's totally fine with this because everyone's going to jump on the app and pay for it. We have the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football this evening. Think a lot of the Cowboys fans are going to be wanting to watch on the app? I would say so. Maybe I'm wrong on that totally. But I'd love to know how many signups they had over the weekend and what they're about to have with the largest fan base across the country in the NFL.
I just can't stand when these multi-billion-dollar companies. I mean, we're talking. I saw Clay write about this. Google YouTube is like 7 times the size of Disney. I think it's like 28 billion to 5 billion. It's something like that. But billions and billions of dollars in these companies, and they cannot come to a solution that will help the people that are stressed to pay these fees at times just to get their bit of joy on the weekends and watch college football because they can't come to an agreement. I can't stand it. Figure it out.
It's more than just so like the NFL is a business partner of ESPN. Like they're part owner. So in a way, they're negotiating with YouTube all over again as a business partner with them.
Well, and I don't know that
the whole thing is. I'm not saying that they're in on these negotiations. I'm saying like they own a part. They own a part of the company versus they're just partners with a company.
Yeah, I don't know that they've dealt with a media conglomerate that's a tech company that has this much clout and money to where YouTube and Google's like, well, no, we have the leverage here. Because usually you can play it where no, we got to get this thing back on, but Google might be the one company big enough not to blink and just say, no, we'll ride it out through football season and see if you come to terms with us with what we want.
They may also want some protection with whatever Hulu's doing with Disney and Hulu, right? Now, again, I don't pretend to know all the intricate details of this. All I know is right now, Chad and I, as YouTube TV subscribers, don't have any ESPN channel, ABC, none of it.
And I tried to sign up for that damn ESPN app over the weekend just to watch games on my drive. It makes you sign in through your TV provider. So it's very odd because I've already previously signed into my TV provider through the ESPN app. And now I feel like it's made it impossible to do that. I think I have like 3 too many subscriptions now just from trying to get back in through different things this weekend. And I'm like, I don't even know. I could be paying 4 times for ESPN right now. I wouldn't even know.
Well,
I need to get one of those companies that means you get through your subscriptions.
$20 credits, right?
I'm about to get $0 $20 credits when I discontinue my YouTube TV subscription.
Surely this can't go on too much
If this goes until November 22nd, that's the mark.
Wow. Okay,
that I've set that I'm done.
All right, so we're 19 days away.
Yeah. Let the countdown clock begin.
It is officially Patriots Award season, and we're excited to finally announce a few special guests joining us this Thursday in New York for the most patriotic award show on television. Country music star Jason Aldean and his wife Brittany. They're going to join Jesse Waters in presenting Erica Kirk with the first ever Charlie Kirk Legacy Award. Jason Aldean is also going to perform live at the Patriot Awards. These are just some of the many surprises we have in store for you this year, and cannot wait for you to join us for an incredible evening honoring true American patriots. So we'll have more special guests to share with you, so stay tuned. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, if you could go, there are still some tickets left. FoxNation.com/Patriot Awards. That's the website. FoxNation.com/Patriot Awards. Hope to see you there. And if you plan on tuning in from home, watch live this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on FoxNation.com. You will not want to miss it. Don't miss tomorrow's show either for Hot Mic, 11 a.m. Eastern. Find us right here at OutKick.com. YouTube at OutKick Hot Mic is the channel. We hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe with all the clips, highlights, and more from there. Again, catch you tomorrow.
Let's do it. It's going to be fun.
We talk a little Pat Fitzgerald tomorrow.
Yeah.
And much more. Catch you then.